Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got another gun on the table that we'd previously featured that we'd had a lot of comments asking for an update. How well is this gun holding up? This one was on the channel not quite 6 years ago. So you're looking at a 6 to 7 year old gun here. And this is a Beretta 96A1. These are wonderful guns. They're just lovely to shoot. They're nice looking guns. They're reliable. They're dependable. They also come in a 9mm version, the 92. So let me take and show you this gun and how well it has held up. And of course it is unloaded. Now the 96 comes in 40 and the 92 is 9mm. And one thing I can tell you, I really like this gun. I really don't like 40. But in this gun, it's a pleasure to shoot. 40 tends to have a kind of a twisty, snappy, rather nasty recoil, and really doesn't seem to offer much in ballistics that other calibers are a little more pleasant to shoot. But in this gun, it handles 40 so well that 40 is a pleasure to shoot. It doesn't feel snappy, it doesn't feel twisty, it just sits there and does what it's supposed to do. It fits well in the hand, and it's a full-size gun. So it's 8.5 front to back, 5.4, and 1.5 inches. Kind of, again, most of these double action, single action, older design hammer guns are kind of thick, but it fits the hand well, and it just gets right up in there. There's enough of a beaver tail that you don't get slide bite, and the open design is actually, it's kind of cool. It's nice to look at. And I know a lot of people have concerns about that, about stuff getting in there and jamming up the action. This one has had no problems with that. Of course, I haven't tried to use it while I was playing in a mud pit, but under normal use, nothing has gone in there. I haven't had any ejected shells get in there and hang it up. I've actually had no malfunctions with this thing whatsoever. This particular one has a D-spring, which makes the trigger a little nicer or a little bit lighter, but the regular spring still has a nice trigger. It's mostly the double action trigger that's a little nicer with the D-spring version of it. This particular one has the safety decocker. So when you put it down, it decocks it, and it also puts it on safe. You can swap this out with one that's a decocker only. So what would happen is you'd pull it down and then it would decock and then snap back up and not act as a safety. The design of this is that the safety is actually just a pin that goes through a rotating ball. Now when I do this, the hammer's going to want to snap forward, but you'll see as I start to bring the safety lever down, the ball rotates around. So by the time it's fully in the safe or decock position, whichever version you've got, the hammer is only going to hit solid metal. That pin is going to disappear up into the top of the gun by the time it releases the hammer. This is one of those decockers that there is absolutely positively zero chance that the hammer can transfer energy to the primer. It's going to hit basically solid metal by the time it lets go. So it's really a very nice safety design. And of course this also does have the drop safety plunger. You can see it actually, it's one of the weird things about these. This plunger as part of the drop safety mechanism will come up out of the top of the gun as you pull the trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. You see it protrudes just a little bit. And that's disengaging the firing pin safety so that when the hammer comes down it can actually hit the primer. So it's a very, very safe design gun. It's designed to be drop safe and manipulation safe, so that you can carry this in a double action mode, or you can easily cock it by thumb cocking it, or of course start out with your first one being double action. Now it's not designed to be carried cocked and locked, because when you lock it, it decocks. So this is designed to be really carried in the double action, for your first shot to be double action, or you thumb the hammer, and then every subsequent shot is single action. It's got a Picatinny rail. Now you're not going to see any holster wear on it because I haven't really carried this. There's a little bit of wear under here where it has moved back and forth, but it's just surface wear. If I run my finger across it, I don't catch on it, so it's just kind of the finish scuffing a little bit. These guns for me and for Hammer, these are range guns. They're fun day at the range guns, not something that either one of us routinely carries. Though I would say this has been reliable enough. There's no reason you couldn't carry this or use it for home defense. It's just kind of big and heavy. Taking this thing apart is actually fairly easy. Of course, you verify it's unloaded. You push up on this little pin over here. And by the way, while I'm over here, the safety is ambidextrous. And then pull this down and it releases the slide. Now they've carried this forward in some of their newer guns, but for whatever reason they've made this a little more difficult to operate. Trying to get that arm to release on some of the newer ones, you've got to get everything just right. This one is just, finger press, flip, done. Now I have the slide in my, or the frame in my hands. I'll show you. You can see a little bit of finish wear on the back. You'll see a line here and you'll see a little more wear there. But if I run my finger across it, it doesn't snag on either end. I can do it here. If I run my finger across it, it's smooth. It's just a little bit of finish wear. And there's a little wear on this guide and not on this side, and that's really because of the way 40 recoils and the way it puts the force on the gun. And you'll see there is a little bit of a recoil buffer in there that's up underneath there. And you'll see a little bit of wear on it where the barrel's been hitting on it. But it's just a surface scratch of the finish. It's going to be kind of like you'll see the difference between the blue, where it's a little bit worn. But it's not beaten in, it's not peened or anything else like that. And it's all working quite well. Pull the barrel apart. Now, the barrel on this is a little different to get out. There's a little release you have to push. But I'll show you the barrel first. Other than a little ring here, and again, that's just a finish mark, nothing that scratches, you really wouldn't know that this wasn't a gun that had just been test fired at the factory. It's got a relatively limited feed ramp. The rounds kind of feed almost straight in, so it's really just kind of a guide, but it's nice and smooth and it's in good shape. And if I take the slide, you'll see there's no appreciable wear on the slide guides on either side. And then there is just a hint of wear up at the very front in this little guide at the front, just a hint of wear where the finish is slightly scratched, and a little bit here where the recoil spring sits and where when it goes all the way back it hits that buffer. But overall it's all pretty much cosmetic. There is no wear on this gun that I would say in any way compromises the gun's ability to function. These can be a little twitchy to put in if you get this toggle out of position. I may just take a second and realign that and then resume. It's real easy if you're playing around with the barrel to get that little mechanism stuck. It doesn't do any damage to it, but it'll kind of get hung up, and then you'll have a hard time dropping the barrel. And so all I did is I brought it up where I could see it and I fixed it. So it goes back together easy, and then goes back on the frame. And when I cycle it, it automatically put the locking arm back in position. So again, now it's ready to function. And I almost forgot to show you guys the condition of the inside of the barrel and the rifling, which on this one is easy to do with it assembled. You'll see that the rifling is in excellent condition. It's nice and crisp, it's nice and square. There's no rounding, no pitting. Now this one has never been abused, but it hasn't been treated like a queen either. It's been used, it's been fired, it's been kept in climate-controlled conditions, but it hasn't had any special treatment, hasn't been particularly, been treated cushy, and it's holding up quite well. It really is a pleasure to shoot, and this is one of the few guns that makes 40 a nice round to actually fire. The grips on this one happen to be Beretta grips. There are some rubber grips that also come on these, and the rubber will further absorb the impact of the 40. However, the wood grips that are on this are just nice to look at, and because this gun handles 40 so well, I didn't feel the need to have rubber grips. Kind of just looks nice. It's got that classic look. So anything in the 92, 96 series, and then of course you've got the M9s and a number of the newer variations. Between the two of us, we've accumulated a number of those newer variations of this. This is a good, solid, robust design. If you're looking for a gun that you're going to spend the money on and it's going to hold up well and that you may give to your kids and then eventually find its way to your grandkids, these are good choices. May not be the thing you're going to pick to take out daily carry. Get something like a Glock or a Springfield or a Walther for that. And when you get it all worn out and used up, which is kind of tough to do with any of those that I mentioned, they tend to hold up well, you get another one. But this will hold up very, very well, especially if you're looking to use something for just a really pleasant to shoot range day. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. Thank you.
Going.